This year marks 50 years since the release of the most iconic and highly remembered Monty Python and the Holy Grail, one of the most enduring items within the Python continuum. In some respects, this feature wound up being their most recalled in popular culture, its most quoted pieces more referenced than much of the television show, even, and safer to remind the public of than the comparatively controversial Life of Brian or the either gross out, sensational, or gothic moments from the somewhat under celebrated, though slightly imperfect, The Meaning of Life. Perhaps its most important trait is being the first feature film from the spellbinding auteur and the most significant of the troupe, Terry Gilliam, their American. So much of the humour from the zanier adolescent or adult geared cartoons from the 90s and 2000s stemmed from Python and the Holy Grail. As a result, so many of the Flash cartoons I viewed on websites like Newgrounds.com displayed a sense of humour I found incredibly familiar when first sitting down with Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Whether it be the gleeful fourth wall breaking, the incursions of real world entities into an otherwise fantastical setting, the inclusion of graphic violence into general over the top slapstick, or characters determined to move through the story for the professed sake of the script itself, it is difficult to imagine many comedy features going quite so outside the realm of theatrical parameters prior to its original release. Aggressively surrealist and absurdist, effectively postmodern, proudly anarchic and yet inexplicably at times actually traditionally clever and witty, I tended to think of my favourite of the three as being Life of Brian, though Holy Grail is entirely understandable as another's favourite were they to choose this. I'm not including an alpha something when considering these films. It is a perfectly admirable work. I just don't tend to consider it in the age wherein one has the series available for immediate viewing as well, really. I'm moving on from looking over the They Shoot Pictures, Don't They list. I'm a bit tired from it as of now, so I'll just be deciding on a day what I feel like watching, and you'll all be hearing about it. Of all the beloved 1970s comedy features, the Monty Python films are one of the best works from Mel Brooks, Blazing Saddles, but especially the endlessly revisitable masterpiece Young Frankenstein, Woody Allen's finest works in that decade, Carpenter's Dark Star, and National Lampoon's Animal House, are the ones which I have the most fondness for. Some people count Lumet's Network, which I don't consider a cheer in the way that many comedies are, but is a rather brilliant film in any instance. And I quite like Paper Moon too, strangely enough. Do works from Lindsay Anderson, Peter Medak, the genius feature The Ruling Class starring Peter O'Toole, Louis Buñuel, or even Robert Altman count? Brian De Palma's Hi Mum is close to my favourite comedy feature of that decade. May as well place the very oddball Get to Know Your Rabbit up there as well, for the fun of it. Does Phantom of the Paradise count? How many films are more magnificent than that one? I quite like Thunderbolt and Lightfoot too, and Little Big Man from Penn, and the earlier Jackie Chan, Drunken Master. Actually, my favourite, if it counts, is the geniusly scripted, marvellously performed, and rather expertly directed classic called The Last Detail. Let me know other comedies from that decade which you like if you feel the need, but whatever you feel like doing. Let me now state once again, thank you very much, all of you, again.